Hey guys, MBSC1 again, and I got my new camera hooked up, so I thought I would just give you a deck list for the deck that I've been using most recently. I call it Mewtwo. I think that might have already been used previously, like something else was called Mewtwo, but who knows. Anyway, I just thought I'd give you guys the deck list because I got this new camera, and you know, why not? It's pretty interesting, so we'll get right to it. I think that should give you a pretty good view. We'll start with items. I just run Victory Piece because I have Victini. Gives Victini, you know, attack for free, so very good. I don't really need to explain that. As far as other tools and items, we have 4 Muscle Band. A lot of Pokemon in this deck hit for weakness, considering there's like 6 or 7 different types. So if you're going to hit something for weakness, you want to make sure you're doing the exact amount of damage you want to be doing. So for example, if you're doing 30, you have to have Muscle Band so that you do 50, which is times 2 is 100, so that you make sure that you always 2-shot it or 1-shot it with Mewtwo or something like that. So just doing that extra damage is very important, and I thought that was important enough to make me want to run 4 Muscle Band. So I do. I run 2 Switch. I'd like to have 3, but I can't really fit it, and retreat isn't a huge problem with this deck because most of the Pokemon have a 1 or 2 retreat cost, so it's not a big deal. So I only run the 2 Switch, but I'd like to have 3. It's just, I can't really find room. There's a lot of stuff. Then I have 3 Ultra Ball. This is just a search for anything that I need. The 4th isn't really necessary. A lot of people think 4 is kind of a staple, but it's really not. 3 is enough most of the time, so I just run 3. Then I have 1 Professor's Letter. This is basically just so I can Scylla for Professor's Letter, so that I guarantee myself that energy attachment for that turn and the next turn. I think it's really good, and I love this card in this deck. It also just works as a pseudo 8th grass energy, so it's good. Then we have 4 Hypnotoxic Lasers. This is standard in pretty much every deck that runs Hypnotoxic Laser. It's very good. It does more damage and stuff. I don't really need to explain that either. 2 Verbing City Gym. Verbing City Gym is just to make Hypnotoxic Lasers do more damage. 3 Verbing City Gym has actually kind of started happening with a lot of people, but I think 2 is enough, and I don't really have room for a 3rd anyway, so... And also, since it's so popular right now, you really don't need to run 3 because everyone's going to be running 2, so you're going to get it into play more often. 1 Bicycle. This is just to make you draw more cards, and I didn't really know what to put as my last draw support card because I didn't want 4 Scylla, I didn't want a 3rd Chorus, so it's just like, well, I'll run 1 Bicycle. And this is nice also if you need to Scylla for a Bicycle because you really just need to draw something during that turn. So, Bicycle is good in this deck, but only as like a 1-of or maybe a 2-of. Then there are 3 Scylla. This is just a search for whatever item you may need. It also can grab Victory Piece. This is really nice for grabbing the laser or the Muscle Band most of the time, just so that you can finish off that knockout. Or like I said with Professor's Letter, you can grab that so that you can, you know, guarantee yourself an energy attachment for this turn and the next turn. So this is kind of unorthodox. Most people only run 2 or even 1, but I run 4 Lysander. This might seem ridiculous right now, but I'm pretty sure that high counts of Lysander are going to be the norm coming into this new format. We saw everybody running 4 catcher last format, before the errata, I mean, and I think Lysander is basically just the new catcher. And I noticed that a lot of times it is kind of just a dead card that I have to Juniper away or something like that. But the thing is, when it is in my hand, and I can make sure I have it in my hand so often, it is so good to have 4. I've won games multiple times. I mean, so many times because I run 4 catcher or 4 Lysander instead of like 2 or 3. It's helped me a ton, and I would never go down to anything less than 3. But I really like 4, and I think that's pretty much the perfect number. You might disagree with that, but I challenge you to try it yourself and then see what it's like. It helps a lot. I run 4N. This is just standard staple in every deck. Don't really need to explain it. Very good draw support. And then 4 Juniper, same thing. Good draw support, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying. 2 Chorus. I think 3's become kind of standard in big basic decks, but I just really don't like the riskiness of getting a low number. I still find that even with 11 or 12 basics, I'm not sure if I have 11 or 12, with that many basics and only running 2 Chorus, I still Chorus for low numbers sometimes early game, which is so painful. So I only run 2. I might even go down to 1 and up the Bicycle count to 2, but we'll see. Now for the most interesting part, the Pokemon. So 3 Mewtwo, this is basically just the attacker for when you don't know what to attack with, or if you're going to do a Mewtwo war. So Mewtwo in general is just a good attacker, pretty much has always been since it came out, and it just hits everything for a good amount of damage right now. And it's better than Yveltal, well, debatably better than Yveltal, because, you know, you can just hit for the double colorless energy, and you don't need the dark energy, and without the dark energy acceleration, I feel like Mewtwo has kind of become better, but at the same time, Yveltal is still strong. But, yeah, I just run 3 Mewtwo. I had 4, but I think that's kind of too many. And I have a Cleon now, which kind of fits that 4th spot, and I'll explain how that works in a second. Then I run 2 Virizion. This hits, what's it called? Seismic for weakness, and resists it, as well as blocking items, or not blocking items, that'd be amazing, blocking status conditions, and also accelerating energy. So, I really don't need to explain it any further. It's a very good card. I feel like Virizion is one of the most powerful cards of this new format. One Cobalion, this is just to deal with Cleon, basically, or any other fairy Pokemon. I feel like fairy Pokemon are very popular anyway, but I noticed that Cleon TDK decks, actually more just like DK decks, because Thundurus has pretty much been taken out because Landorus hits it so hard, but anyway, yeah, this is basically just here to hit Cleon for weakness, and it does it really well. I did this one instead of the EX, just because the EX doesn't do as much damage, and because those decks aren't running as many special energy, they're running a lot of basic water energy now, so I'm not going to be able to discard their special colored energy with that Cobalion EX anymore, so I just have the 1 Cobalion. I really want to up it to 2, and I might take out the Dedenne for it, but as it is now, I just have 1. Then I have 1 Dedenne. This is to help with Yveltal, or, yeah, the Yveltal matchup, because obviously it's weak to lightning, and basically what this does is it forces your opponent to not be able to overload a Yveltal with 4 energy, because they know if they do that, then I'm just going to use Dedenne and knock it out. It kind of just sits on the bench most of the time, but it works as a good threat. It prevents my opponent from being able to play as aggressively as they would want to, and I do one-shot things sometimes with it. I one-shotted Yveltal with 5 energy on it last week at one of the tournaments. So it's nice, and it's also just a solid attacker. You know, energy short is a pretty good attack. It will two-shot most things with the help of Muscle Band and Laser, or just one or the other. So it's just a nice non-EX attacker that does a lot of damage to Lugia and Yveltal. Then we have 1 Cleon. I feel like a lot of people don't know what this does. It's a pretty underplayed card. Its ability Color Change is as long as this Pokemon is in your active... I don't need to read it exactly. It basically turns into the type of whatever your opponent's active Pokemon is. So if your opponent's active Pokemon is a Mewtwo, this Pokemon is a Psychic type now, and then its attack is you choose one of your opponent's attacks and use it as this attack, as long as you have the energy requirement. So if I'm going against a Mewtwo deck, I just use Cleon, attach double colorless energy, and if they have a double colorless energy attached, then I'm hitting them for 160, so all I need is a Laser or a Muscle Band to one-shot their Mewtwo's with my Cleon. This is the MVP of the deck. It has helped me so many games, and it's basically the reason why I'm winning Mewtwo Wars, along with high Lysander count and 3 Mewtwo, but this helps make it show you, like, always win the Mewtwo War for sure. Also, you can use some of your opponent's attacks sometimes because this deck runs Rainbow Energy, so if you want to do that, you can too. It's, you know, a really good, fun card. Then we have 1 Jirachi. That's just there to grab Lysander so that you can start the Mewtwo War, or just bring up whatever you want because the deck has so many types, hits so many things for weakness. So that's basically, Jirachi is basically just my 5th Lysander, but it does help me get out of supporter drain sometimes too, so it's good for that as well. But I really like this card in this deck, and I'd actually like to run a 2nd Jirachi, but I feel like I need to run more Pokemon just to make sure that I don't start with it if I want to do that, which I really might do. I might up it to a 2nd Cobalion and then add another Jirachi in. Then we have 1 Victini. This is just to hit grass types for weakness and occasionally accelerate energy. It's also nice because if you have the victory piece on it, you don't need any energy, so you can just do a lot of damage kind of out of nowhere. So Victini's just a good attacker, but it's mostly there to hurt grass Pokemon. And then we have 1 Seismitoad. This deck gets less Seismitoad every time I play it. I started with 4, and then I went down to 3, and then 2, and now I'm down to 1. And the reason is, basically, this Pokemon, I've noticed, I only want to use it against Landorus. That is the only time I really use Seismitoad now, actually. Yeah, it's just other attackers are better, honestly. Item locking is good, but the low damage output at 30 is just so not strong. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I think the video cut out for a second, but basically all that's left is the energy. Then we have 7 grass energy, all base set hollow. I'm super happy I finally got these. This is just, you know, so you can Emerald Slash and get energy out of the deck. I'd like to have 8, but I can't really fit 8, and I feel like more than 14 energy is just too many. But, you know, 7, it works. Then we have 3 rainbow, excuse me. This is just so that you can attack with Cobalion, so you can use Victini's attack, sometimes even use Jirachi's attack if you really need to, or use Cleon's attack to copy your opponent's attack. So rainbow is mostly there for Cobalion, but also fits those other purposes. And then there are just 4 double colorless energy. This is basically just for Mewtwo. And that is about it. The deck is pretty unorthodox. I kind of came up with it myself. It's really fun though. Excuse me. And it's been doing really well at tournaments. So try it out if you want. I think you'll enjoy it. And thanks for watching. Subscribe for more, comment if you want to tell me something, and like if you liked the video.